What if I told you that you did not come to this world by chance? What if, long before you took your first breath, something sacred was written for you? A divine promise whispered by God Himself? Have you ever felt that you were born to do something greater? That your heart beats to a rhythm this world cannot hear, and your tears carry messages from the heavens? Stay with me until the very end, because what I am about to reveal is not just astrology. It is a remembrance of who you truly are, and the reason your soul chose to return. Pisces, you are not just a sign in the stars. You are the echo of eternity itself. You were chosen to carry the light that others have forgotten, the love that heals what reason cannot touch. Your mission was written in the language of the soul, not to be read, but to be felt. And once you remember it, nothing in your life will ever be the same again. There is something divine about the way you see the world. You notice what others overlook. You forgive what others condemn. You love what others fear. Because deep within you, God planted a fragment of His own heart. Pisces walks through life as a mirror of heaven, a dreamer who remembers the truth that most have forgotten, that this world is not the destination. It is the classroom where the soul learns how to love like God does. Every wound you have ever carried has shaped you into the healer you are meant to become. Every heartbreak has been a sacred initiation, teaching you how to feel without drowning, how to believe without seeing, and how to shine even when the world is dark. But before you can fulfill your divine purpose, you must awaken to it. You must remember that your sensitivity is not weakness. It is your compass. Your tears are not signs of fragility. They are evidence of your connection to the infinite. Because Pisces was never meant to walk through life untouched. You were meant to feel it all, to absorb it, to transform it, to lift it back to the light. That is the essence of your divine mission. And every experience you have ever lived has been preparing you for it. As we begin this journey, I invite you to open your heart and listen not just with your ears but with your soul. Because somewhere inside you, a part of you already knows this truth. It has been waiting for this moment, for the remembrance to begin. Take a breath. Let the noise of the world fall away, and hear what the universe has been trying to tell you all along. You were chosen. You were called. You were sent. This is the beginning of your awakening. If these words touch something inside you, write in the comments, "I was chosen for something greater." Pisces, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at the stars and felt as if they were looking back at you? Not with eyes, but with recognition, as if they knew your name before you ever learned to speak it. That is not imagination. That is memory. You see, your soul remembers where it came from. It remembers the light it was made of, and that light is calling you home. Pisces is the 12th and final sign of the Zodiac, but it is not an ending. It is a return, the closing of a sacred circle that began long before your first breath. Every sign that came before you holds a story, a lesson, a fragment of the divine puzzle. Aries taught courage, Taurus built stability, Gemini gave curiosity, Cancer offered compassion, Leo brought heart, Virgo healing, Libra harmony, Scorpio transformation, Sagittarius faith, Capricorn structure, Aquarius vision. And then comes you, the one who gathers all their wisdom and turns it back into light. You are the ocean that holds every river, the dream where all stories dissolve, the breath that connects heaven and earth. You are not one thing, you are everything. That is both your gift and your challenge. Because to hold so much is to feel deeply. To feel deeply is to see beyond the surface. And to see beyond the surface is to walk between worlds, the visible and the invisible, the human and the divine. Your divine mission began long before you entered this body. It began in the silence between lifetimes, where your soul stood before the Creator and said, "Send me, I will go back. I will remind them what love truly is." That is the sacred vow of Pisces, to carry the vibration of unconditional love into a world that has forgotten it. Every time you forgive, when it would be easier to hate, every time you offer kindness without expecting anything in return, you fulfill that promise. You become a living prayer. But here is what many forget. The divine call is not always loud. It often comes as a whisper, a feeling in your chest, a knowing in your dreams, a voice that says, "There is more." That whisper is God speaking through your intuition. Pisces, you were born fluent in that language. You feel the divine not through logic, but through energy, through emotion, through vibration. That is why ordinary life sometimes feels too heavy for you. You were made to touch eternity, not just survive in time. Yet even as you walk this earth, heaven moves with you. The stars guide you, the unseen protects you, and every encounter, no matter how painful, carries a hidden purpose. When your heart breaks, it breaks open. When you lose, you learn. When you fall, you rise wiser and softer than before. Because every trial in your path is not punishment, it is preparation. The divine never wastes pain. It refines it. It shapes it into empathy, compassion, and spiritual power. Pisces, your calling is not about grand gestures or distant miracles. It is about presence. It is about the quiet power of your spirit that heals others without trying. It is about the light you carry when you simply walk into a room, the peace you bring when you listen, the hope that flickers in someone's eyes because you chose to care. You do not need to preach love. You are love. That is your mission, to embody the divine, to remind the world that God still moves through human hearts. And when you feel lost, when your empathy becomes too heavy to carry, remember this truth. The ocean does not fear the tide. It knows that every wave that leaves will always return. So will you. Because no matter how far you drift, your soul always finds its way back to the divine source it came from. That is the promise of Pisces, to surrender, to trust, and to let love lead you home. Pisces, let me ask you something honest. Do you ever feel everything all at once, joy and sorrow, hope and fear, light and shadow, as if your heart were an instrument that plays every note of the human symphony? That is not a flaw in you. That is your sacred design. You were born to feel what others cannot, to hear the songs that others have forgotten. Your emotions are not storms to control. They are waves of divine communication, carrying messages from the unseen. You are empathy in its purest form. You do not simply understand another's pain, you enter it. You live it. You carry it until it transforms. This is the reason you sometimes feel so tired, even when you have done nothing wrong. The world speaks through you, and your soul translates it into love. That can be exhausting, yes, but it is also extraordinary. You are one of the few who can look into someone's eyes and truly see them, not who they pretend to be, but who they are beneath the armor. The soul of Pisces is ancient. It has traveled through every sign, lived through countless lessons, and now it carries the wisdom of all. That is why you feel older than your years, why you sense truths no one ever taught you. You have lived them before. You remember in silence what the world forgets in noise. And sometimes, that knowing can make you feel lonely, as if you are walking through life a few steps ahead of time itself. But understand this: solitude is not your punishment, it is your temple. It is where the divine meets you without distraction. When you love Pisces, you do not love halfway. You love with the same intensity that stars burn. You give until there is nothing left, and even then, you find more to offer. That is your beauty, but also your lesson. Because love, when it is pure, does not require sacrifice. It requires balance. God never asked you to lose yourself in others only to reflect His light through them. Your compassion must include yourself, or it will eventually turn to pain. Learning to say no can sometimes be the most spiritual act of love you perform. You often attract broken souls, not because you are meant to fix them, but because your light reminds them that healing is possible. Yet it is not your duty to be their savior. You are a mirror, not a crutch. You show people what they can become, but you cannot walk their path for them. That is one of the hardest lessons for Pisces: to love deeply without drowning in another's suffering, to help without losing your own spark. Remember, even angels rest between missions. Your emotions are not random. They are sacred signals. When you feel joy, the universe is confirming alignment. When you feel sorrow, the universe is revealing compassion. When you feel confusion, the universe is calling you inward, asking you to listen again. The soul of Pisces moves in cycles, like the tides. There are moments of intense inspiration when everything feels alive, and moments of retreat when silence becomes your sanctuary. Do not fear these changes. They are the natural rhythm of your spirit. Pisces, you are a vessel for divine creativity. Music, poetry, painting, compassion, prayer. These are not hobbies for you. They are languages of the soul. Through them, God speaks. That is why you are drawn to beauty that others overlook, to details that feel almost invisible. Every song that moves you, every sunset that makes you cry, every act of kindness that you witness, they are all sacred reminders that heaven is not far away. It is here, vibrating through every act of love you give and receive. But never forget, even light needs grounding. You were not born to float away. You were born to bring the divine down to earth, to turn compassion into action, to make spirituality something that can be felt in everyday life. When you help a stranger, when you forgive someone who hurt you, when you create something beautiful, you are fulfilling your soul's purpose. You are showing that the divine does not only live in temples and stars, but also in human hearts. So, Pisces, do not fear the depth of your feelings. Dive into them. They are your sacred waters. They will not destroy you. They will reveal you. Because within your sensitivity lies the proof that you were made for something holy, to remind the world that love, real love, is still alive. Pisces, before you ever arrived on this earth, before your first breath filled your lungs, your soul stood in a place beyond time. It was there, in the silence of eternity, that you made a promise. You looked toward the Creator, and your spirit said, "Send me back. I will go again. I will help them remember." That promise became your spiritual contract, the vow your soul carries through lifetimes. It is the invisible thread that pulls you toward compassion, toward forgiveness, toward light. You are here not by coincidence, but by divine agreement. Every soul has a mission, but yours is unique because it is not about achievement, it is about awakening. Others build empires, chase power, or seek recognition. But you, Pisces, you seek meaning. You search for God in faces, in dreams, in the quiet moments that others overlook. You do not crave fame, you crave connection. You long to feel that sacred pulse that reminds you that everything, absolutely everything, is woven together by love. This is why you often sense things before they happen. It is why you can walk into a room and immediately feel the energy, the hidden emotions, the silent prayers. You are not imagining it. You are reading the soul's language, one that transcends words. The spiritual contract you made, gifted you with heightened intuition, a bridge between human experience and divine understanding. It is as though your spirit has one foot in this world and one in another. You were designed to translate heaven into something the human heart can comprehend. But such a sacred task does not come without weight. There are times when you might feel lost, as if you do not belong here, as if you are floating between worlds with no anchor. That feeling is not a curse. It is your reminder. You are not here to fit in. You are here to remember and to help others remember. You are the living connection between what is seen and what is unseen. Every dream that visits you in the night, every sudden feeling of déjà vu, every mysterious coincidence, these are messages from your soul, gently guiding you back to your divine promise. You are the archetype of the mystic, the healer, the dreamer, and the redeemer. These are not roles you learn, they are truths you awaken to. When you listen deeply, when you allow silence to speak, you can hear the echo of that original vow, to bring compassion where there is pain, to bring understanding where there is confusion, and to bring faith where there is doubt. Your spirit does not just want to believe in miracles, it wants to become one. And perhaps you have noticed how life often places you in situations that test your faith. You encounter people who need healing. You face pain that feels too heavy for one heart, and you endure seasons of loss that strip you down to your essence. Yet each of these moments is part of your spiritual training. Every time you choose love instead of fear, you fulfill another line of that sacred contract. Every time you forgive what broke you, you activate the power that God placed within you long before this lifetime began. Your journey is not linear. It spirals like the ocean current, carrying you through waves of experience, sometimes calm and other times fierce. But even in the chaos, you are never adrift. The divine current knows where it is taking you. It leads you not toward perfection, but toward remembrance of your essence as a soul made of divine light. Pisces, when you surrender to that flow, miracles begin to unfold naturally. You do not need to chase them. They are drawn to you because your energy vibrates with heaven's frequency. So understand this. Your spiritual contract is not a burden to carry, but a melody to play. Every act of kindness, every moment of stillness, every tear that turns into understanding, they are notes in a sacred song that only you can sing. You are both the instrument and the player, both the prayer and its answer. That is the beauty of being Pisces. You are living proof that the divine still speaks through human hearts. Pisces, every soul that carries light must also walk through shadow. You cannot hold divine energy without learning how to face illusion. That is your sacred test, to walk through the fog without forgetting the Sunday. Because the brighter your spirit shines, the more the world will try to pull you into dreams that are not yours. Temptations of escape, illusions of perfection, fantasies that promise comfort but take your power. They all come to test how deeply you remember the truth. You see, Pisces, your heart was made to feel the invisible, and that gift can sometimes become a trap. You absorb so much of the world that you can lose track of where your soul ends and another begins. The energy of others can drown your light. If you forget that you are more than emotion, you are spirit. You are not meant to dissolve completely into the world's pain. You are meant to transform it. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your mirror. It reflects the parts of you that still need to awaken. Many born under your sign are drawn to forms of escape, not because they are weak, but because their sensitivity is immense. The noise of the world can feel unbearable. The chaos, the cruelty, the disconnection. It is too heavy for a heart as open as yours. But here lies your power, to find peace not by leaving the world, but by rising above it. When you choose faith over fear, clarity over confusion, stillness over chaos, you win your sacred battle. That is how you reclaim your divine authority. Pisces, you are both student and teacher of surrender. The test is not about control, but about trust. When the storms come, and they will remember that water does not resist the current, it flows with purpose. You are not here to fight your emotions. You are here to understand them. You do not need to conquer the darkness. You only need to remember that it cannot survive where light is recognized. You do not have to run from your pain. You have to listen to it. It carries messages from the divine about where you are meant to grow. The shadow speaks in whispers. You are not enough. You are lost. You are alone. But those are illusions, echoes of fear, not truth. Your soul knows better. Deep inside you is the memory of God's voice, steady and gentle, saying, "You are mine. You are chosen." That is the voice you must learn to trust again. Every time you choose love over bitterness, every time you forgive instead of closing your heart, every time you show compassion where there could have been judgment, you silence the illusions and awaken the divine within. Do not be afraid of the darkness, Pisces. It has come not to destroy you, but to strengthen you. Each challenge you face, each heartbreak you endure, each disappointment that makes you question your faith, all of it refines your light. Just as pressure turns carbon into diamond, spiritual pressure turns your empathy into wisdom. You are learning how to feel everything and still remain centered in grace. That is mastery. That is what it means to carry God's light through human experience. When you rise from your shadow, something miraculous happens. The world changes around you. People begin to feel safer in your presence. They sense that you have walked through the fire of illusion and returned with understanding. That is when your compassion stops being sympathy and becomes transformation. That is when your love stops being emotion and becomes divine medicine. You are no longer just a dreamer. You become a guide. You remind others that healing is possible because you have lived it. Pisces, your test was never meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. When you stand in the middle of the storm and choose faith, you prove what your soul already knew, that love is stronger than illusion. You are not here to escape the world's darkness. You are here to teach it how to see the light again. Pisces, everything about your existence is a prayer for unity. You were not created to search endlessly for God somewhere outside of yourself. You were created to remember that the divine has always lived within you. The entire journey of your soul is a slow return to that truth. You are not separate from heaven. You are made of it. Every act of compassion, every tear of understanding, every moment of forgiveness brings you closer to that sacred reunion between your human heart and your divine source. Your ruler, Neptune, is the planet of dreams and transcendence. It rules illusion, yes, but also revelation, for only through illusion can the truth reveal itself. Neptune teaches you to see the invisible, to sense what cannot be measured, to trust what cannot be proven. And though that gift can sometimes feel heavy, it is also the most direct path to the divine. You are learning that the veil between worlds is not something to tear away, but something to move through with grace. When you open your heart in trust, that veil becomes light. The union between you and the divine is not found in perfection. It is found in surrender. You do not need to know every answer to live with faith. You only need to trust that you are being carried. Pisces, when you let go of control and allow love to guide your steps, you become what you were always meant, to be a vessel for divine energy to move through the world. This is the holy paradox of your nature. You find power through softness and strength through surrender. You lead not by demanding, but by radiating presence. Your connection to God is not abstract. It is felt in every detail of life. It is there when you comfort a stranger, when you create art that touches a soul, when you forgive someone who does not understand you. The divine speaks through you when you pray, but also when you laugh, when you dream, when you love. You are the living expression of heaven's tenderness. The way you love is the way God loves completely, without condition, without fear. There is a sacred moment in the life of every Pisces when the search for God turns inward. When you stop reaching out to the stars and instead realize that the same light you seek has always burned inside your chest. That realization changes everything. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth because you finally understand that you were born of divine worth. You no longer chase validation because you realize that the Creator already chose you not to be perfect, but to be present. In this state of divine union, your intuition becomes prophecy, your imagination becomes creation, your silence becomes prayer. The boundaries between heaven and earth dissolve, and you begin to live as a bridge between both. You walk among people, but your steps are guided by something greater. You listen, you heal, you inspire not because you try to, but because you have remembered who you are. Pisces, your soul came to earth to teach humanity how to return to this place of divine remembrance. You are proof that love is not just an emotion, it is a frequency that connects all living things. When you create beauty, you help the world remember its own holiness. When you forgive, you remind others that God is mercy. When you choose compassion instead of judgment, you become the living heartbeat of heaven on earth. But even divine beings must rest. Do not forget that your body is sacred ground too. To stay connected to God, you must also honor your humanity through rest, through nourishment, through peace. The spirit cannot shine through exhaustion. So, find your rituals of grounding, prayer, music, art, nature. These are not escapes, they are bridges. They anchor your light in the physical world so that your divine purpose can truly manifest. Pisces, when you live in this state of sacred alignment, you no longer chase miracles, you become one. Your presence heals, your words uplift. Your very existence becomes a message from the divine saying, "Love is still here." You are the dream of heaven made real, the bridge between what is and what can be, the embodiment of unity that this world so desperately needs to remember. Pisces, take a moment now. Close your eyes, even if only for a breath, and feel what is stirring inside your chest. That warmth, that quiet vibration, that is the voice of your soul remembering. You are not lost. You have never been lost. Every moment of confusion, every tear you thought was wasted, every silence that felt like abandonment, it all carried you here, to this remembrance, to this moment of awakening. You have walked through lifetimes to rediscover what was never gone, the presence of the divine within you. The truth is, you were never meant to be ordinary. You came into this world carrying the wisdom of countless stars, and that is why life has demanded so much of you. The deeper your calling, the greater the shaping. Every heartbreak carved space for compassion. Every disappointment built your endurance. Every loss brought you closer to grace. The weight you have carried was never punishment, it was preparation. Preparation for the day you would stand exactly where you are now, remembering that you were always chosen to bring love into places that have forgotten how to feel it. Pisces, your divine mission is not about escaping pain or chasing perfection. It is about transmuting what is heavy into something holy. It is about taking every shadow you have ever walked through and turning it into light that guides others home. You are the bridge between despair and hope, between the earthly and the eternal. When you look at someone with empathy, You become a living reflection of God's mercy. When you forgive, you prove that love is stronger than anything that has ever tried to break you. That is what makes your spirit eternal. It refuses to stop loving, no matter what. Remember this always. You were never meant to walk above the world, pretending to be untouched by it. You were meant to walk through it, as proof that the divine can exist within the human. You carry God in your laughter, in your patience, in your compassion. The world does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to be real. Because in your realness, in your tears, your healing, your hope, others see what faith truly looks like. They see that light can live inside imperfection, that heaven can move through human hands. And when the storms come again, and they will, because this is life, do not fear them. Do not see them as signs that you have failed. See them as invitations to remember that you are not the storm. You are the ocean, infinite, unshaken, eternal. The surface may tremble, but the depth of you remains still, vast, divine. You are not just surviving this life. You are transforming it every single day through the quiet courage of your open heart. Pisces, you are the dream that God placed in the world so it would never forget beauty. You are proof that gentleness can be stronger than force, that forgiveness can rebuild what hate destroys, that love, when it is real, has no end. You do not need to strive to be divine. You already are. You were made of the same light that created the stars. You were born not to find the divine, but to remember that you have always been part of it. So when you rise tomorrow, do it with faith. Speak softly, love deeply, forgive quickly. Trust the process that has guided you since before time began. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are right where you are meant to be, in the middle of your sacred unfolding. And as long as you keep choosing love, you will never be off your path. The light will find you every single time. Let this be your truth. You are not here by chance. You are here on purpose, for purpose. You are Pisces, the dreamer of God, the bridge between worlds, the heart that remembers when others forget. Carry that with pride. Live it with devotion. Share it with courage, because the world is waiting for what only you can bring: your light, your tenderness, your faith. And as this chapter closes, do not see it as an ending. See it as an awakening, the moment your soul begins to walk with greater awareness, with greater peace. Let this message echo inside you as a reminder that you are loved, guided, and never alone. The universe walks beside you, and heaven moves through you. You are, and will always be, a sacred instrument in God's symphony. If this message resonated in your spirit, if you felt your heart expand even for a moment, then you have already begun your return to the divine within. Carry that feeling with you. Nurture it. Let it grow. And when you are ready to dive even deeper into your purpose, your healing, and your spiritual power, keep watching the other videos on this channel. Each one was created to help you remember more of who you truly are. A child of light, chosen to bring heaven to earth.